Bearded Bristol back with another talking and painting, because I'm a guy who likes to talk and a guy who likes to paint. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of people to talk to right at the moment, so you get to be the victims. Working on kind of the second and third phase of a new piece here. This is one from the previous video, if you caught that, where we worked on blending the sky and also kind of painting in the snow with a yellow-blue mix. And since then, I built in a bit of a skyline, added some trees to the background. On the left-hand side, hopefully the varying degrees of purple and black come through so that you can see, kind of start to make out individual branches and trees, but yet not have them all be specific and very, articulate. So this is a little more free-flowing than a normal piece for me. But then moving across here, I just built in kind of some, we'll call them tree trunks. They're volunteer trees and weeds and such that have grown up well past where we would normally cut them down, but this here is the wilderness. So I've done some rearranging on my station here, so hopefully it'll give you a better sense for what I'm doing. And I do have some pre-mixed purple with just a little bit of black. But I'm going to kind of just start to fill in this area to the same type of density as I've got on the left. Probably not going to get it all complete, which is, if you started watching my videos, you understand that I'm quite slow when it comes to doing some of this stuff. And that's okay. Not everything has to be super fast. And you can just see here I'm starting to build out vertical kind of branches on these. And again, when we're all said and done, there's going to be additional trees that build into here and start to fill in this space, but we just need kind of some shapes to get this started, so then we can just kind of see where we need to go. From a tree branch perspective, though, look at trees just as a general rule and start to see the geometry in them. Trees grow towards the sun, not surprisingly, and they branch out in fairly regular intervals regardless of the type of tree. Now, these all appear to be kind of the same mold, as it were. They're all pretty much the same type of tree. Can't tell you what that is because that's not my, I am not a botanist or anything of the sort. But I can tell from my picture that the branches just generally kind of extend up pretty vertically, and each individual branch has a couple more branches that come off of that. And so even without looking at the picture, again, this is fairly dense foliage back here, so because of that, it is hard to get the sense for an individual shape of a tree. But because I study trees and kind of just have a general sense for how they should look, I'm able to kind of take this and branch out. I love plays on words. I apologize if my humor grates on any of you, but if it does, you have probably already shut me off. So we're just going to keep building here and talk a little bit about branching out. It doesn't matter if you are an artist or what your calling in life is. I know some folks out there are very specialized and very good at a particular thing, whatever that thing might be, whether it's being a good parent or a good spouse or a good teacher. There are people out there that are exceptional at their jobs, and I think what you find more often than not is it's less a training issue and more an individual drive. It's kind of a want to. And probably, you know, those people that are excellent at what they do that you have recognized in your own life probably would have been excellent at a great many things if they had chosen to go that route. But the question that I have for all of you, oh goodness, that one got kind of thick on me. The question that I have for all of you is, what are you good at? And, you know, do you even know what that is? Have you found that in your life yet? Hopefully the answer is yes for most people. But, you know, for me growing up, I really didn't know what I was good at or what I wanted to be good at. And so what that left me with was trying everything. And I mean, literally, pretty much everything. Now, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a small school where you have ample opportunities to find out how good you can be at things. There were 16 in my graduating class. Some of you just fell off of your couches or your stools or whatnot. But yes, when I say small school, we ain't playing around. It was a small school. But what that means is you still have a lot of different sports teams that you have to fill. You still have to have a yearbook and a staff to man that. And so it's required, you know, not that we have to, each student has to do 8 activities or something like that. But in order to have these things continue and to be successful, students oftentimes have to get involved in arenas where in a larger setting they may not have ever explored. And so that was my opportunity to really dig into the academic setting and the extracurricular setting and try different things. And so, you know, I started coming out of my shell a little bit in high school, well, in junior high, but more in high school because we had to have a yearbook staff. So, well, I kind of like to take pictures. I'll be a photographer. Well, pretty soon I was writing pieces for the yearbook, and I was doing design and layout. Similarly, my English teacher, who was also director for our one-act play competitions, needed another male for the cast when I was a freshman. And I thought I was too shy to do it. I thought I was too cool to get involved in theater. But because she needed that one more person, and I was in that frame of mind that I just needed to try things, I gave it a shot. And since then, I've done over 30 stage productions of varying types and sizes, from high school theater to community theater to college theater and musicals, and discovered, you know, out of necessity, that this was something that not only was I pretty okay at, it was something that I really enjoyed. And so, you know, that obviously has kind of found its way into the video today, in that I am not uncomfortable doing videos and talking to a bunch of strangers who I've never met about something that you may or may not think that I'm particularly good at. I also did a lot of track and field, played basketball. I am 6'4", so, you know, that doesn't always come through on the video, but I was an adequate basketball player. I started for my high school team and, you know, had some really great experiences through that, and played, you know, a lot of intramural sports through college. One thing that I did know I was pretty good at as a young person and did want to continue with was singing. So, again, I found my way into those opportunities and sought them out for things like my college jazz choir, the all state music competitions, and things of that nature. And so I've always done a little bit of singing on the side, but I will spare you that today. Maybe another video will do singing and painting instead of talking and painting. Now you can see this has started to come together a little bit. I am not going to go to the extraordinary lengths of trying to paint in each individual branch because one, you just simply cannot make them out in this picture, but two, one of the beauties of art is being able to use shapes and colors to create dimension and make things appear more detailed than they are. And like I say, you've noticed that this has already started to fill in for me. But we're about to take another step here as I am getting ready to switch brushes. And we're going to move on to branches and such that maybe are a little more closer to our area of focus. So as we talk about branching out, there's a whole host of reasons why branching out is a good thing. And especially, I look right now at just how polarized we are as a country and as a people, frankly. And, COVID has a lot to do with that. People have a lot of opinions, right or wrong, on how things should be handled and whether or not, COVID is even a legitimate concern. I'm not here to get into that. But I am here to talk as it relates to the discussion of branching out. I think one thing we can all get better at is empathy and understanding. And it's easy to look at that online comment and lash out and, think that someone is an idiot or whatnot without having any idea what their background is, what factors surround them internally and externally, whether they have maybe a hidden medical degree or something that the rest of us don't know about. It's just much easier for us to lash out and assume that that person or people are just simply idiots. And the same goes for the political sphere. We again, it's very easy for us to form our opinions, but what experience do we have? What experience does the person making the comments have? What understanding of the situation do you or do they have that may lend them expertise that we don't have? And I think, one of the lost art forms is the one-to-one conversation, because we can do everything online and because we can surround ourselves in an echo chamber. And when you are meeting with somebody in person, oftentimes we have we've already known this person or people, and so we have an idea what their expertise or their knowledge level on a subject might be. And so we formulate our opinions and our arguments much differently because of that. And it allows us to reach an understanding with that person. Now, that doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong or vice versa, but it does mean that you are probably going to reach a better agreement with someone like that because you have a mutual understanding of knowledge and experience from one person to the next. Now, as you can see here, I've switched brushes to the number 4, which obviously you can't see the number, but I'm also changing up the style of tree for now. Not every tree in this grove is the same. And I'm building in slightly thicker branches and changing the shape of how those branches fan out. So this, this one that I'm working on here that I will be inserting, these are far more shade tree-esque. Shade tree-esque. Yeah, it's a word now. And so the branches fan much farther out, and because they're closer in the foreground, they're also going to be a little bit darker. But, they fan out, and they're a little fatter for that matter. Yeah, I did that. But we're just going to continue to kind of fill these in. And you can see how that skyline is starting to be eaten up a little bit by the additional trees, which is the goal, by the way, to have similar coverage on the center and the right-hand side than on the left. So I'm sure, we've all been down that road of getting into conflicts with friends or family members. And I'm sure at one point or another, each of us has been wrong. I know I'm not supposed to say that. We are right all the time because social media tells us that. But probably you have been wrong a time or two and maybe had to eat a little bit of crow because, that family member or that person you were talking with had a special level of knowledge or understanding of the subject that you yourself did not. And one, is that something you can correct? As in, can you gain that same level of knowledge? Or can you at least appreciate the fact that that person has gone to the lengths required to have that knowledge? Being able to accept that is a huge step for each individual in terms, just being able to look at something and understand that you don't have all of the answers. Case in point, I saw just this morning on Instagram somebody's story. They had reposted something from someone else. It was not, this is not this individual's words, nor do I even know that this is how they personally feel on the matter. But it was very easy for me to just look at this and say, well, it's just factually inaccurate. This person, whoever had posted the original thing, along with the person who reposted it, had not done not even a simple Google search to discover the accuracy of the statement. But that didn't stop, my acquaintance from reposting it. And, sometimes things are just funny, sometimes things seem insightful and whatnot. I certainly don't have the time or energy to fact check everything. But I think it's important, again, for us as humans and as people who are, in theory, supposed to be somewhat compassionate, to understand that we may not have all of the relevant knowledge on any particular subject. Not that we should be precluding from speaking, but I think it needs to be understood that there's certain things that just don't make rational sense. And if it doesn't make rational sense, there's a good chance it's not true. Now, that doesn't go for everything. There are a lot of idiots in the world, and there's a lot of people in places of power who do make really bad and or questionable decisions. But it just back to the original point is if you have branched out, if you have a variety of experiences and knowledge, it makes it easier, one, to weed through those things that don't seemingly makes sense. But it also helps you to develop a level of compassion and understanding for why things are the way they are, or why some people think the way they do. And I think for me personally, it's given me the ability to relate, and like I say, to understand where people are coming from, but also then to relate my perspectives back without belittling that person, without making them angry with me, or making them want to shut me off. And that's even with these video series, I'm probably not making all of you happy with my painting, my style, my talking, none of it. But that is not going to stop me from communicating and from continuing to grow as an individual. You heard the timer go off, so we're going to shut down the video here. But you can see now I'm going to go to one more layer of thicker branches and darker branches on top of this. But you can see now how these two sides are starting to merge in terms of depth. This side actually probably looks a little better, at least currently, but again, I'll be going back with another layer. And this center area is going to be a little tricky, because you can see here with the sun, I took that center tree and built it in just so I could have kind of a framework for what the rest of the piece was going to look like. But these in the center area where the branches are brown and orange and the lighter purples will still fill in for the most part, but I've got to keep that sun flare in place. So I'm actually, even though I'm saying generally you work from light to dark in watercolors, for the center section, I'm kind of at this point doing it backwards. I'm building in the outsides where I understand the colors better, and then I will start to fill in on the inside area, that orange area, once I have the outsides, pretty well taken care of. But the colors will start to fade towards that center to give me that depth and to help build that sun flare. So anyway, that is that, as they say. And this has been another pipe and paint, or pipe and paint. No, this is, I apologize. I'm getting my alliteration messed up. This has been another me talking and painting, but I am going to settle in with a pipe and paint for a little while longer, and hopefully in a week or so we'll have this piece finished. I am branching out to something else. The next piece I will be working on is 18 by 24 inch. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to go with. And this will actually be for a statewide art show. I'm very excited about the piece I've chosen. This will only be the second exhibition that I've ever entered, so that is exciting too. But the next piece is really going to become involved. Hopefully by then I can have an art desk and make this whole video thing even a little more interactive and interesting. But in the meantime, I have my brush, I have my pipe, and I have my scotch. So I'm going to settle in for a nice sunny afternoon of painting. Still too cold to play outside. But whatever you do, create something. We'll talk to you again soon.